Hey everyone, how's it going? Today we are going to talk about OKRs. And OKRs are objectives and key results. So all good businesses should have a set of objectives and key results that they want to accomplish every quarter that roll up into what their vision is for the year, that roll up into what their vision may be for a 5 or a 10-year period. And it is very important for businesses to provide this to the entire executive teams so that the executive teams are aware of the various things that need to happen in order to drive the business forward. That's a fundamental understanding that many businesses lack, but this is super important in the growth of a business. So, um, the topic that I'm going to focus on today is OKRs and how we convert those into initiatives from a technology point of view. There are a lot of things that can be said about how businesses can strategize and deliver on these OKRs. I am going to focus purely on an engineering perspective so that we are able to identify how we as technology departments can take these objectives and turn them into smaller deliverables. So OKR, I think, was invented by people in Google. Um, I'm pretty sure it was available before that in other organizations. From what I understand, someone brought it into Google and it became a revolution within Google. And I can see why. So, objectives and key results. Let's look at a business. For example, we are an event ticketing company. That's one of our businesses. HyperTrends has released a product called TicketBlox that allows people to sell tickets to their own events. Essentially, they become their own ticket master or an Eventbrite, if you will. And one of our core objectives is that we want to improve the promoter experience in the admin panel. And then the other objective is that we want to improve a customer's checkout experience when you're buying tickets. So, in order to do that, there are some key results that we need to accomplish. And KR1 in this case is 50% reduction in support calls. Imagine what is possible if your customer support rates dropped by 50%. That would be fantastic. Imagine if they were able to self-serve themselves. The amount of labor force reduction is mind-blowing. So that is a key result that management has decided that they want to accomplish. The second key result is that if we're putting up any educational content, whether it be blogs or videos on YouTube or within the admin panel, then that has to have a 95% plus approval rate. Why is that important? Well, we want our customers to really engage with our content and feel like this content is tailored to their likes, their dislikes, helps them accomplish what they need without having to worry about not understanding why they're being presented the content. If customers start inherently trusting us, then it becomes even better from an experience point of view. And then the third key result that management has identified is a 98% plus bug-free experience, which means any rollouts have to make sure that they do not break. There will always be bugs, but we want to push the bar extremely high, and we want to have a 98% bug-free experience. So that is what an OKR system is. It identifies what your objectives are and the key results that lend themselves towards these objectives. And in the second one, we have a key result of less than 500 milliseconds to load a page. Why is that important? Amazon proved it that if you can load your page 1 second faster, it resulted in an increase in sales by $1 billion. So for us to be able to load a page half a second faster is obviously going to result in bigger conversions. We want another key results, which is we want to pre-fill most of the forms during your checkout. We know that people are on their phones and it is very difficult and error prone to fill out these massive forms that are needed during checkout. So what are some of the ideas that we can do to pre-fill? And I should have said, at least 40+% of the form should be pre-filled without manual intervention. It's not possible to do it completely, but we're gonna see what we can do. That's our key result. The third key result is 99.99% bug-free experience. We do not ever want our checkouts to fail. If our checkouts start failing due to unforeseen bugs, it's game over. We've lost the customer, and at scale, we've essentially lost the company. So it is impossible for us to have any bugs. And then the fourth one in this case is all of our checkout customers should give us a favorable rating of at least 4.8 or more. And we're looking at 98% of our customers give us a 4.8 or more. So hopefully that makes you understand what an objective and key results is. I pulled on some other OKRs just to kind of give you a variety. So in this case, for example, um, you want to accomplish 5,000 software subscriptions a month. Let's just say that. What does that mean? We mean then we need at least 100,000 site visitors per month via SEO. We want to improve our funnel to achieve 5,000 subscriptions per month, scale a product and processes to support 5,000 subscriptions per month, and NPS score pretty crazy. Something else that may be easy. Super Bowl win. Simple. Passing attack amasses 300 plus yards per game. Defense allows fewer than 17 points a game. Special team unit ranks in the top three in punts return coverage. Crazy, right? It's so easy to accomplish something massive if you just identify the key results that you want. Okay, going back to our chart here. So we've identified the objectives. We have identified a few key results. A smart product manager in a technology firm should be able to take these key results and turn them into smaller deliverables that can be rolled out on a continuous basis. Note very clearly that I'm not saying that things will be rolled out 2 months from now, 6 months from now, or 9 months from now. That is the old way of doing things. What I'm saying is that things are rolled out on a continuous basis. And if you are truly agile, you would be rolling things out at least at a minimum every 2 weeks. Better teams like SWAT teams that are created specifically to accomplish certain key results should be able to accomplish things every week. They should be able to roll out a small experiment every week. So a key result can have multiple experiments that one can create. And we will talk about these in detail. So I'm going to pause the video here, and then we will return back when we're ready to discuss the experiments. Hey, so we had talked about objectives and key results earlier, and then I said that a smart product manager should be able to take all of these key results and turn them into experiments. And each of these experiments can essentially have one or more deliverables throughout the phase of the life cycle of the OKR, okay? So let's look at this, what this looks like. So let's say we want to do a 50% reduction in support calls, which is our key result, or an improved promoter experience in the admin panel objective, right? So here are some of the experiments that you can brainstorm. Hey, we want to record videos of people explaining how the screens work, and we want to start embedding those videos into the admin panel so that anytime someone has a question, instead of calling us, they can just look at the video right there and they can go ahead and watch it. And the hopes are that they would be able to reduce the support call or eliminate support call in this case. The second one is introduce AI-based support. This is not easy, but it is an experiment that we could conduct. Now, mind you, some of these experiments may be super easy and some of these may be difficult. So a smart product manager always balances things out in a way that these experiments can be conducted with least amount of friction. It is extremely important for us to understand that organizations may not have the budgets, they may not have the resources. And so it is important for a product manager to get creative, not get buried in the how we're going to do this with the limited resources and all, but really get creative in order to provide these solutions. Because remember, the solution may be transient, which means temporary, or it may be permanent, which means you introduce it as a feature that is going to stay forever within your SaaS platform. And those decisions need to be made via discussions, via bargaining, um, via negotiating. A great product manager is an amazing negotiator. In addition to being a great leader, because they have to drive both upstream with the executives as well as downstream with the engineering, UI, UX teams, etc. Okay, so one of the other experiments is to introduce pre-recorded training webinars. What if we just brought all our customers weekly into pre-recorded training webinars that would focus on specific aspects of the platform? The hopes are that people can then watch them at any given point of time. And because it's a pseudo live webinar, they feel that they're being tended to, right? A lot of companies like Go High Level, for example, use this. Um, for getting a key result of 95+% of educational content approval rate, simple experiment, add a video rating control. After they watch the video, let them rate it. If the video was good, they will rate them good. Solicit comments, all the things, easy stuff. Do a post webinar survey, see how that goes. Do an AI support satisfaction survey, right? So anything that we're doing to reduce the support calls, let's also measure. So at this point, you as a product manager have some interesting ideas. You could go and record all these videos on your own, or you could hire someone to do this. And essentially what that becomes is a development cycle, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean software development cycle. I would just call it as a sprint, right? This becomes a sprint that we are going to work on. And in the sprint, I am very committed to producing an outcome. And so sprints can be divided in our case at HyperTrends when we work into features and stories. Okay. So super easy to understand features and stories. The feature is broken down into one or more stories. So let's say we want to record videos. That is one of our sprint. So one of the feature could be that we want to record. I'm just going to say that I'm going to move this there. One of our feature could be to record, let's say, a setup video, and the stories underneath that could be record, do a Loom recording of the video, do transcription, um, make sure that you have a nice setup for the video recording. So you can see like how every feature can be broken down into smaller stories, which can be delivered by one or more members of the team. For example, your setup of a demo site may be done by someone in customer support. Your marketing team may be involved in creating the marketing collateral to make your desktop, your assets look really nice when you're doing a video demo. And one of your core customer service reps may be involved in actually recording the video because they understand what the customers are looking for. So it is important, again, for a product manager to understand what they're sprinting towards and what their features and stories are. So when we do stuff, we always break things down very easily into what we call as features and then broken down into stories. So we would do feature, let's say, onboarding tutorial. Let's just say that that's what we're going to do. Then what we would go ahead and do is we would say one of the stories is going to be, let's just say, and then we give this a key. So let's just call it OBT, okay? So one of our stories would be OBT setup demo assets. Okay, that's what we need to do as one of our initiatives. I'm going to set darker color there. One of the other stories could be to write script, right? Record screen share. So you can see how we are just breaking everything down. And then these things can be assigned to different stakeholders. And they ultimately all roll into the delivery of a given feature. And this feature can be short-lived or it can be long-lived. So if a feature is broken down into multiple long-lived sub-features, then you can always create features within features, right? And then you can roll out one part of the feature instantly, and you can then roll out other parts of the feature over time. So you could have sub-features within a feature. And that's how you essentially go ahead and structure your OKRs towards development. Now, the portion that we just talked about does not require any development efforts around it. But imagine if there were development efforts. So what we would do is we would create a story, and story would be further broken down into, I want to say, tasks. So I would say T1, create demo site. I could actually go and do T2, create admins. So essentially, a story is then broken down into tasks. Tasks are then assigned to developers, and that's how you would go about doing the entire OKR process. And what happens is when you are done with your sprint, you should be at a point where you're able to roll this out into production. The whole idea is you do not do anything that costs you more than a sprint. You do not do anything that is overtly ambitious because perfection is the enemy of progress. So you go in a very incremental fashion and you deliver these in smaller bites and you start measuring what the feedback is. So you're not invested too much in a particular direction. For all you know, your customers just don't even like watching videos. They just want to text you to see how to solve their problem. If you found that out, let's just say one of your experiments would be to do text response automation. Now, you can say that anytime a customer texts me, they should text it to a specific phone number. And because I know who that phone number came from, I can identify who the customer is. And then I can use AI behind the scenes to find out what their intention is. I can give them a real-time video that I can create using Synthesia, for example, and send them a personalized video within a matter of minutes. And that seems more personal because it feels like it was answered by me as an individual, but it also solves the problem of people who don't like to watch videos in the dashboard. So I'm just speculating this, but I also have been aware of stuff like that being true. So there's always a wiggle room. That's where real good product chops come into play. So I hope you think this video was helpful. If you do, please post some comments on what your thoughts are. But this is how we run a lot of different initiatives in our company here at HyperTrends. And I wanted you all to see if there's anything we can collaborate on, because I'd love to hear people's feedback on how they're doing things. I know there are some amazing systems that help people formalize these. Personal choice, I just like keeping things super simple in Miro or an Excel sheet, and then I use Jira and Confluence to drive the engineering efforts. Curious to hear what your thoughts are. Thank you.